Welcome in. Take a moment and just arrive. Wherever you are right now, however you're lying, whatever the light is doing around you, let this be the place you stop. You don't have to do anything else tonight. There's nowhere else to be. Whatever you've been carrying today, the weight of it, the noise of it, you can set it down now, right here. None of it needs to follow you into the dark. And whatever you didn't finish today, it will still be there in the morning. It will keep. You don't need to hold it any longer. So let's begin to slow everything down, together. Let your mouth close, soft, and breathe in through your nose, gently, and let it go, slow, like a sigh. There's no rhythm to chase. Just let the breath out take a little longer than the breath in. Let the exhale be the longer, easier part. Breathe in and let it fall away. And again, in and out, slower still. Now, one deeper one. Take in a breath and then just a little more on top. And now, let it all go. Good. Let the next breath find its own way now. You don't have to manage it anymore. It knows what to do. And as the breathing settles, let your body begin to follow. Let your jaw unclench. Let your teeth come apart just slightly. Let your shoulders drop, away from your ears, down toward the bed. Let them be heavy. Let your hands open, or just rest, however they fall. Let your belly soften with every breath out, nothing held in. Let your legs grow heavy, heavier than they've been all day. And your feet, let them be still and warm. And right here, in the center of your chest, let there be a little warmth, a loosening, as though something you'd been bracing against all day is finally letting go. You're not waiting for anything now. You're just here, in the low light, at the edge of sleep. Tonight, we have a story from Nora, a story she has held for a very long time. There are things that happen in a life, things witnessed, things survived, things that never quite let go, that can't be spoken of easily. Not at the dinner table, not with the people who knew the people involved. But some stories need a witness. Some things need to be said before it's too late to say them. And it's easier, sometimes, to give a story to a stranger in the dark than to anyone she has ever known or loved. Because you won't look at her differently in the morning. Because the dark makes certain truths easier to speak out loud. This is one of those stories. It's filled with things that don't fully explain themselves, with darkness that doesn't resolve into light, with questions that were never answered, and silences that were never broken. Some of it will stay with you. That is the nature of these things. But tonight, it finally gets told. This is the files she kept before we sleep.
There is a cold that comes in one afternoon and changes the smell of everything. You have known it if you have lived anywhere with real winters. Wood smoke first, then the lake going over, the smell a body of water makes when it gives up the last of its summer heat to the air. And under both of those, a flat, clean metal smell I have never found a name for. The smell of the ground deciding to freeze. It comes once a year. It came that year on a Thursday. I keep a notebook. I always have, even when I shouldn't. And for most of my life, it was the safest thing I owned, the one place a thing would hold still. You write a thing down and it is finished, out of you and onto the page, where the weather of your own head can't get at it. I trusted it the way you trust a thing that has never once hurt you. I should tell you too, while I am being honest about the room. I keep it cold in here. I have for years. People comment, and I let them think it's thrift. It isn't. I keep it cold on purpose, and by the end you'll understand why. Or you won't, the way I still don't after all this time. The notebook from that year is in my lap tonight, not on the table. My hands are older than they were the last time I told you anything. The entries are in a smaller hand than I seem to write in now, and I have to hold the page nearer the lamp than I'd like. I was turning through it when I decided to tell you this, and I am going to tell you about a woman named Ruth. Let me give you her first, because everyone who has ever told this got that part wrong, and a great many people have told it. I'll come to that. But they all begin in the same wrong place. They begin with the door, or the search, or the cold. They begin with the absence. You cannot feel an absence if you were never given the shape of the thing that's missing. So first, Ruth. She cut hair. Not a salon, her own kitchen, a chair by the window, a towel she kept warm on the radiator. I had been in town a few months that autumn and had gone too long without a haircut, the way you do when you don't yet know who to trust with it. Someone said, "Go to Ruth. Everyone goes to Ruth." So I went. I want to tell you about the 40 minutes I spent in that chair, because they are the reason I am still keeping this notebook, and the reason I cannot put it down. You know how rare it is. You can go years. You meet people and they are perfectly nice, and there is a wall of glass between you that never goes away. And then, once in a long while, you sit down in a stranger's kitchen and there is no glass. None, from the first minute. She turned my head with 2 fingers under my chin, gentle, the way you turn a child's face to the light to see if they'd been crying, and asked me something ordinary. And I answered something true, and she laughed, and I laughed. And it was as though we were picking up a conversation we'd set down the week before. Except there had been no week before. We had just met. She was wearing the same earrings I was. Little gold drops, nothing, the kind everyone has. But we noticed at the same moment and reached up and touched our own ear at the same moment, and that set us off again. There was a radio on the windowsill, and a song came on that I loved and had never heard another living person admit to loving. I must have made a sound because Ruth stopped cutting, met my eyes in the mirror and said, "You too?" and turned it up with the comb still in her hand. And her dog. I have to give you the dog warm because the dog matters later in a way I can hardly stand. An old brown dog with a gray face that lived under the kitchen chair while she worked. It came out while she cut my hair and put its chin on my knee and left it there, this warm, heavy old head on my knee. And Ruth said, "She doesn't do that." She said, "She does not do that for anyone." That was the 40 minutes. I left with the particular lightness you get maybe 5 times in a life. The feeling that the world has quietly handed you a person. Walking home, I thought, I'll go back in a month and we'll do that again. Maybe this is how you make a friend when you're grown. I went back to that kitchen exactly once more. It was not for a haircut. The chair was empty, the radio off, and the dog was at the door. But I am getting ahead. Hold on to her. The 2 fingers under the chin, the same earrings, the song she turned up, the dog that chose my knee. The whole rest of this is the shape of where she used to be. I have to tell you about the notebook properly, because it may be the whole of this story. I started it as a girl, to hold the days, which otherwise run together and are gone. But I kept it past the age most people stop, and harder, and somewhere it stopped being a record and became a second memory I trusted more than the first. Because here is the thing about what's in your head. It changes, and it does not tell you it has changed. You remember a blue door, it was green. You remember a voice, and what you are remembering is the last time you remembered it. A copy of a copy, going soft at the edges each time you take it out. The mind is a liar that believes its own lies. But the page, I thought, is fixed. The page holds. The page was the one room in the house where the air did not move. I am telling you this at the front so you'll understand what it cost me when it stopped being true. Because it did stop. It has been stopping for some time. And the night it started, I can tell you nearly to the hour, was that Thursday in October, the first cold night of the year. The night Ruth went out of the world, and the world closed over the place where she'd been, as though she had never stood there at all. Here is the evening as plainly as I can give it, which is the way it deserves. The cold had come in that afternoon. By dark, it was the first hard cold, the kind that makes porch boards crack and settle, that puts a skin of not quite ice on the puddles. People had their heat on for the first time, and you could smell that too, all over town. The dust burning off the radiators, the first night of the furnace smell. Ruth had soup on. We know this. We know it the way we know the last facts of anyone's last ordinary evening. From after, from the people who came and found the pieces and could not make them mean anything. Soup on the back burner, the radio low. Her good coat on the hook by the door, her everyday coat gone. The dog's leash gone. The dog gone. And Ruth gone. That is the part the town could almost live with, at first. A woman takes her dog out on the first cold night. She stepped out. People step out. The soup is on because she was coming right back. You don't turn off the soup to walk the dog. You're gone 4 minutes. You're gone around the block. She was coming right back. The soup said so. The radio said so, still playing to an empty kitchen. The good coat on the hook said she hadn't gone anywhere that mattered, anywhere you dress for. She was coming right back. And then she was not. And there was just the cold and the open door and 40 years. I owe you the first one now, the first place the notebook and I stopped agreeing, and it is small, the kind of small you can explain away. I did explain it away for a long time. That Thursday, before any of it, before I knew there was an it, I had written a few lines about the cold coming in. I had written that it smelled of wood smoke and the lake turning over. And I had written the third smell, the ground freezing one. Except in the notebook, I did not call it that. In my own hand, I wrote that the air smelled like pennies. I have no memory of thinking that word. I remember the smell exactly, the flat, clean, nameless metal of it, but pennies is not the word I would reach for. It is not a word I have used for it before or since. Too small a thing to mean anything. People reach for odd words, but pennies is a wet smell, a held-in-the-hand smell with iron in it. The smell I remember was dry, was clean, was the opposite of held. They are not the same smell. One of them is in my head, and one is on the page in my writing, and they do not agree. And I can no longer tell you which was the real Thursday. I told myself the mind is a liar, and the page holds. I told myself the page was right, and my memory had gone soft. It was the first time in my life I had ever hoped the page was right, and that hope is usually a comfort. That night, it was the opposite, and I lay awake not knowing why. I did not yet understand that I had it backwards. The thing to be afraid of was not my memory going soft. The thing to be afraid of was the page. We will come back to it. They searched. It was a real search, the way a small town searches for one of its own, which is to say everyone at once, badly, hearts breaking, flashlights pointed at the ground. And I should tell you about the versions here, because this is where they began, and they have everything to do with why I cannot trust my own telling. In a town that size, everyone knew Ruth, and so afterward, everyone had a piece of her last evening, and no two pieces matched. Over the years, they did not get fewer, they multiplied. One person had it the soup was still warm when they found it, which would tell you one thing. Another swore it was stone cold with a skin on it, which would tell you something worse. They argued about it at the diner with real heat, as though the temperature of a pot of soup were worth defending a friendship over. And maybe it was. Maybe it was the last argument anyone could still have about Ruth, and so they kept it going. Someone always knew someone who'd seen her on the road that night. The someone changed. The road changed. I have heard this story told by people who weren't born when it happened, with more confidence and more detail than I can manage. And I was there. I have heard it in so many shapes that some nights I cannot find the line between what I saw and what the diner saw and what some child invented for a sleepover 30 years on. The town remembered Ruth so hard and so variously that it wore her down the way water wears a stone. The dog came back. That part everyone agrees on, and I hold the agreement like a railing. 3 days after, the old brown dog, the one that had put its head on my knee, came back to Ruth's porch, sat down at the door, and waited. No leash, and no collar. The collar was gone, which no one could explain. A dog comes home without its person, but it comes home wearing its collar. That's the one thing a dog can't take off itself. I have a thought about the collar. I have never written it down, and I'm going to tell it to you here instead of to the page, because the page would get its hands on it and change it into something I can't survive, and this one I need to keep exactly. I think the dog felt it before she did, the thinness down at the bend, the way it had felt me in that kitchen, instantly. No glass. I think it would not go the last few feet, and I think that is why it came home bare-necked, because she had it by the collar at the end, holding it back. Stay, stay. The way you hold a dog back from a road. And the collar came off in her hand, and the dog ran and lived and went back to the only door it had. It sat at that door and waited. I went and saw it while it was still alive. I want you to know that. I sat on the cold porch boards beside it and put my hand on the warm, heavy old head, and it let me, but it did not take its eyes off the door. It had chosen my knee once in a warm kitchen with a song playing. Now it had chosen the door and the cold and the waiting. It would not eat, and within the month it was dead, the way old dogs are when the thing they wait for does not come. I have never felt so clearly that an animal understood a thing better than I did. It knew she was not coming right back. It knew before any of us would let ourselves know it. And it sat at that door until the knowing killed it. The town did what towns do. It closed up, not callously, the opposite. It closed up the way a body closes over a thing it can't get out, grew quiet skin over the place where she'd been. Within a year, people had mostly stopped saying her name at the grocery. Within 2, the chair by her window had gone out with the rest of the house, and the house was sold to people from away who did not know to be sad in it. They put a swing set in the side yard and painted the door a color Ruth would never have chosen, and were not wrong to. They didn't know. Within 5, she was a thing that had happened, a sad old story, a case. The woman who went out with the dog and, you know, the one who. I did not close up. That is my whole trouble if you want it in a sentence. The town grew skin over Ruth, and I did not. And I have been the open place for 40 years. And the cold gets in. And I had only had the 40 minutes. They lost a neighbor of decades. I lost a woman who cut my hair once and turned up a song. By every reasonable measure, I had no right to the size of what I lost. But you know, and I know, it does not work by reasonable measures. She had handed me a person, the rarest thing, and been taken out of the world before I could go back. What I have grieved for 40 years is not only Ruth. It is the friend we did not get to become. The month I was going to wait and then go back and do it again. You can lose a thing you held for 40 minutes more completely than things you held for years, because you never got to wear it down to something ordinary. It stayed perfect and unfinished. And perfect, unfinished things do not heal over. They stay open. I will tell you something I have not told anyone, and it belongs here, because it is how I came to be sitting with this notebook tonight at all. A few weeks ago, I was looking for something in the bottom of a drawer, the way you do, not finding it, taking everything out, and at the back, in a dish, were the earrings, the little gold drops. I have not worn them in 40 years. I had forgotten I still had them, the way you forget you are still carrying a thing until your hand closes on it. And I did the foolish thing. I put them on. I stood at the mirror in a cold room and put them on, the way I had stood in Ruth's mirror while she said, "You too." And I looked at myself, an old woman in her dead friend's matching earrings, and I remembered exactly why I stopped wearing them. Because the first time I put them on after, that October, that winter, I caught myself in a mirror, and for half a second I did not see myself. I saw the pair of us, both reaching up to touch an ear at the same moment, and the half of the pair that was not me was not there. And the earrings were the proof of it. 2 small gold drops that used to mean the same as you, and now meant, and you are gone. I took them out and put them in a dish and did not wear them again. I had forgotten I'd done that. The hands remember what the head puts down. I left them in, that night a few weeks ago. And I got the notebook off the shelf, and that is when I started reading back through it, and that is when I found how much of it had changed. So you could say the earrings are why I am telling you this. I put on a pair of earrings I'd hidden from myself for 40 years, and they reached into the drawer where I keep her and pulled the whole thing up into the light. And I have not been able to put it down since. If you met it, now I have to tell you what I saw. I have been dreading this part the whole time, and not for the reason you think. I was out that night. I have not said that yet. I let you believe I heard all this after, like everyone, and that is not the truth. I have spent a long time letting people believe the easy thing, because the true thing does not fit in the mouth. I was out walking, new to town, restless, the kind of person who can't stay in a warm house on the first cold night because the cold calls. It does still. I went out to feel it, to smell the lake turning over, to be cold on purpose. I was 3 streets from Ruth's, down where the road bends along the water before it climbs away from the lake. And I saw, here is where the words stop fitting, and I am going to stop forcing them, because the forcing is its own kind of lie. I have written and rewritten this one page more times than any other page in any notebook I have ever kept. And every version is a little different, and I no longer know which is what I saw and which is what the writing made of it. I will tell you by what it was not. It was not a person, though for a moment I took it for one, the way you take a coat on a chair for a person in a dark room. It was not an animal, though it was low, and moved the way a low thing moves. It was not still, and it was not exactly moving. It was doing the thing dust does in a beam of light, that slow, going nowhere, turning. Except it was the size of a person, or the size of where a person had been. It was at the bend of the road, in the dark the streetlight didn't reach, and the cold coming off the water was going past it. And it was not disturbing the cold. The cold went through the place where it was. I want to be exact because it is the only thing I am still sure of. A person in a cold wind blocks the wind. You feel the still air behind them. There was no still air behind this. The cold went through it as though it were not there. And it was there. I could see it was there. It was the most there thing on that whole dark road, and the cold did not know it was there at all. I am not going to tell you what it meant. I have spent 40 years not telling myself what it meant, and the not telling is the only thing that has kept it bearable. I saw what I saw in the order I saw it, and then a car came around the bend, and the lights swung across the road, and there was nothing. Just the road, the water, the cold, the bend climbing away into the dark. I walked home very fast, and told no one. Because I was new and alone, and what would I have said? I wrote it down, of course I did. So it would be somewhere true. So it would be fixed. So that whatever my head did to it over the years, the page would keep the real shape. The page has not kept the real shape. The road bends the other way now. There are 2 cars some nights, or none, and one night I found, in my own hand, that the dog had been with me, Ruth's brown dog, at my side on the road, which is not possible. The dog was home that night. The dog came back to the porch 3 days later, with no collar. The dog was never with me, and yet there it was. The dog would not look at it. I did not write that. I am almost sure I did not write that. I am no longer sure of the word almost. I have to stop again. This is the second time, and it does not go the way the first one went. Years ago now, I was sitting where I am sitting, and the furnace came on, the first cold night of that year. The dust burning off the radiator, that smell, and under it, for less than a second, the other smell. The lake turning over, the clean metal of the ground deciding to freeze. In my own house, in the middle of the dry, burnt dust furnace smell, the smell of that Thursday came up around me, and I was new in town and 3 streets from Ruth's, and the cold was going through the place where the thing was. All at once, no warning, the way you'd be ambushed by a song. I was on my feet before I knew I'd stood. My body knew before I did. I got the notebook. I needed the page to give me the true shape, the way it always had, and I opened it to the Thursday. And for the first time in my life, I could not tell whether I was reading a record or reading something the notebook had written by itself, in the dark, while I wasn't looking. Because here is what 40 years of keeping it has done, and I have said this to no one. It is not only the Thursday page that has changed. I have gone back through the whole shelf of books, all the years, and there are small places everywhere now where the page and I do not agree. A color, the order of a day, a door that was blue. I did not used to find them. I read these books for decades and they held. Then, sometime after that first cold night, they stopped holding. And now opening any of them is opening a door without knowing what's behind it. My life as I remember it, or my life as the page has decided to remember it instead. I told you at the start that the mind is a liar and the page holds. I had it backwards. I think I always did. I think the page was never holding still. I think it was changing the whole time, slowly, the way the lake gives up its heat. And I only noticed when the change reached a thing I could not afford to lose. Ruth. I cannot afford to lose Ruth. She is the one thing I have left shaped exactly like her. The 40 minutes, the earrings, the song, the head on my knee. And she lives now only in a notebook that has started to revise her, and in a town that long ago wore her down to a story. I do not know how much of the Ruth I am giving you tonight is Ruth, and how much is 40 years of a page changing in the dark and a diner arguing about soup. The 2 fingers under the chin. The warm towel. You too, with the comb in her hand. I am almost sure those are real. And you have heard me use that word too many times now to trust it. So have I. That is what this does. It makes you check, and the checking is the very thing that wears the page soft. The looking for the truth is what destroys it. I have worn Ruth thin with looking at her. I have loved her into a blur. You want to know what happened to her. I understand. I have wanted to know for 40 years, and I am the one who was there. And I will give you what I have, which is not an answer. There is no answer. There was never going to be one. That is the whole nature of the thing. I think she stepped out to walk the dog on the first cold night, the way she had 1,000 times, down to the bend of the road along the water, because that is where you walk a dog. And I think the dark took a breath. I think it was not personal. That is the part the town could never have borne, and the part I can barely bear. It did not want Ruth. It did not want anything. It was simply there, at the bend, on that night, the way the cold is there, taking what it takes without knowing it is taking. She was coming right back. I hold on to that. In the last ordinary thought she had, she was holding her dog back from harm and meaning to step inside to a warm kitchen with soup on and old songs playing. There are worse last thoughts than stay. I'll just be a minute. I tell myself there are worse last thoughts than that. There is one more, and then I will let you go. And I will tell you that I did not check the notebook after this one. I want you to notice that. Every other time I went to the page. This time I did not. And I am not sure whether it is because I have finally stopped trusting the page or because I have stopped needing it to tell me what I already know in the cold of my own body. It was tonight, in fact, a few minutes ago. I was turning through the notebook in my lap, the earrings in, the room cold, telling you all this, and the photograph fell out. I should have said there was a photograph. The only one I have of Ruth, clipped to the Thursday page for 40 years. A bad snapshot, the kind everyone has and no one looks at. Ruth in her kitchen doorway, the dog at her feet, squinting into someone's camera. It must have worked loose from the clip while I turned the pages. And it dropped, and it landed on the floor face up in the lamplight, and I bent down, slowly, the way I bend for things now, and picked it up. The dog is not at her feet. I had written a description on the facing page years ago, so the words and the picture would hold each other in place, and neither could drift. Ruth in the doorway, the dog at her feet, the radio on the sill behind her. I have read that line 1,000 times with the photograph right beside it, and never once thought to doubt it. The doorway is there. Ruth is there, squinting, younger than the night I have been telling you about. The radio is on the sill, but the floor by her feet is bare. And I cannot tell you, this is the whole truth. This is the cold going through the place where I sit, whether the dog was ever in the photograph, or whether I wrote it into the description because I needed the dog to be there with her, the way it had been there with me. The head on the knee, she doesn't do that for anyone. Or whether the photograph has done the thing the pages do, and quietly, in the dark, all these years, let the dog out. Warm at the very end. The furnace is on, the dust is burning off the radiator, and under it, faint. Never quite the whole thing, just a sliver, just enough that my body knows before I do. There is wood smoke, and the lake turning over, and the clean, cold metal smell of the ground deciding to freeze. The room will not get warm. I keep it cold. I told you that at the start, before you knew why, and now you know as much of why as I do. The cold is the last place she is still real to me. Still out on the bend of the road, still holding the dog back, still coming right back. If I let the room get warm, I am afraid I will not be able to feel her anymore. And then she will be only in the notebook, and the notebook is changing her. And I am the only one left who is keeping her, and I am no longer a reliable place to be kept. I will keep working to remember her, the real her. The 2 fingers under the chin, the warm towel, the same earrings. I have them in tonight. I think I will keep them in now. The song she turned up with the comb in her hand, the dog that chose my knee. And I will keep checking it against the page, even though the checking is the thing that wears it soft. Because I do not know how else to love someone who is gone, except to keep going back to look. And I will share what comes back up. Hoping, the way you hope at a thing like this, for the best. Thank you for listening.